Living with diabetes is hard enough. We carry less of a mental load when accommodations are met, and we can live our lives like everybody else does.
That accommodation is going to allow us to be able to put the diabetes in the back seat. It's not going to be riding up front with us. It's not driving our car of life. I think that sometimes it can be challenging to think about going through a process and requesting accommodations.
And so, most of the time, that person doesn't want to speak up because nobody has normalized it yet. And, when I raise my hand and I say, this is what I need, I see 10 other people raise their hand and say, this is what they need.
I think having an elevator pitch kind of just happens naturally over time.
And it's going to vary from, scenario to scenario.
If it's like a professor or someone who's or an employer, I definitely am more technical with it. I would give them like a refresh course, basically. And then just flat out be like, hey, this is what I need. These are my accommodations. But very to the point.
The diabetes pitch that comes to mind immediately for me is when I'm going through TSA. I'll look at the person and I'll be like, I'm type 1 diabetic. I have, a continuous glucose monitor here, an insulin pump here. I'm holding my bag of stuff that says do not x-ray on it. So there's an element of knowing your audience, and I think that is a scenario that you can plan for. I have worked with kids mostly in a teaching environment, first starting with, swim lessons when I was really young. So for my 5 and 6 year olds, it's, this sticker keeps me healthy. I have type 1 diabetes. Please don't touch it or kick it off of me, which has happened before.
But when it's like people, like my friends or roommates, I usually explain it pretty casually. My pancreas just kind of stopped working. I just have this insulin pump. And then usually they have questions. And so a lot of the times I don't even have to give a big pitch.
It doesn't have to be your long life story. It just sort of needs to be something that answers the question that you feel comfortable sharing with others, even alerting people, that you have diabetes in case if they might need to be able to offer you assistance.
One of the things that I learned as a college student with diabetes, and then as someone in the working world with diabetes, is it's up to me to start the conversation.
One of the best things that we can do in order to lift our entire community up is advocate for ourselves, either through asking for those accommodations or for talking with other people about what it takes to live with diabetes.
You're not just helping yourself get what you need for your diabetes, but it's the next student or the next person with diabetes who's trying to get the job.
One person speaking up and asking inspires another person who doesn't want to do so. It makes you want to, lift your hand and say, hey, I want to speak up too. Or, I want accommodations too.
It's important to understand that your voice has value. Being able to advocate for yourself can give you the confidence to advocate for other things like policy, like accommodations for our entire community, like being able to help other people explain their condition when they might feel too timid to do so. It can be burdensome to feel as though you have the weight of the entire diabetes community on your advocating shoulders, but it can also be really empowering. And being able to help others is one of the greatest ways that we can give back to our community that helps us through every single day.
Use that sort of knowledge that you have gained as a sword to be able to go out and fight for your rights and sort of break down discrimination if you need to.
In order to find out all the ways you can advocate, just keep trying, and you can always ask. There is a tremendous community of people here at the link, beyond the walls of the internet, and likely in your backyard that can give you some advice, that can give you their experience, and that can give you maybe some hope in order to help pave a better future for the diabetes community.
I never considered myself an advocate when I was growing up. And so it wasn't until my sister was diagnosed where I was like, oof. If I can't advocate for myself, how am I going to advocate for her? I think at the end of the day, self-advocacy wasn't for myself, but it was for her. And I also feel like advocacy, and we always think of it as it's like a policy thing, or it has to do with getting involved in organizations. Yes and no, that is what some advocacy is. But I think at the end of the day, advocacy is just telling someone about type 1 and spreading awareness and just being these juice boxes might have spilled yesterday, but they saved my life today.